Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all present here. On behalf of the Industry Institute Interaction and Outreach Council, I2IOC, Training and Placement Cell, VIT Pune and Team Alumni and Outreach Vishwakarma Institutes. I, Natasha, extend my heartfelt greetings to each one of you at today's Saturday Club session. The Saturday Club conducted under the guidance of Dr. Vijay Mane sir, Professor Vishal Ambode sir, and Dr. Pankaj Punekar, Dean Alumni and Outreach, and Dr. Priya More Ma'am, TPO Cell Campus, is an initiative aimed at bridging the gap between industry and academia, giving us an exclusive opportunity to interact with industry leaders and prepare ourselves for real world placements. And today, we have an exciting lineup, an insightful panel discussion followed by mock interviews that will help sharpen our skills and boost our confidence for the journey ahead. Today, we are truly honored to host a distinguished panel of professionals and proud alumni who bring with them diverse industry experience and valuable insights. Please put your hands together as we introduce our esteemed panelists. So, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Sohail Ali sir, currently working as a backend developer at IBM and also associated at Coast as a coding instructor at Details Learning. He is a proud alumnus of VIT from the 2024 batch. To express our gratitude and appreciation, we would now like to felicitate our esteemed panelists by Dr. Priyanka Mole ma'am. Joining us next is Mr. Varad Rajopadhye, currently working as a software development engineer at UPTIQ AI and a full stack developer specializing in the merge stack and AI applications. He is a proud alumnus of VIT from the 2024 Information Technology batch. We also extend a warm welcome to Mr. Devkinandan currently working as a data engineer at Data Axel with strong expertise in ETL, Airflow, PySpark, and cloud-based data solutions. He is a proud alumnus of VIT from the 2023 batch. Next, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Chinmay Kshirsagar, currently working as a consultant at VIT with prior experience in digital transformation and procurement consulting. He holds a bachelor's degree in information technology from VIT 2019 batch. Let's give all our four esteemed panelists a big round of applause for being with us today. Thank you so much, sir and ma'am, for the gestures reflect our heartfelt gratitude to our speakers for taking time out for their busy schedules to guide and inspire us today. Now, further, let's begin our panel discussion. In this session, our panelists will share their career journeys, placement experience, and industry insights, valuable lessons that go beyond textbooks and truly prepare us for what lies ahead. We encourage all students to actively listen, take notes, and at the end of the discussion, you will also get the opportunity.
Shorter internship was when I was in my second year, second sem. So the thought process was everything was online because of COVID, and I just had that thought because second year, first semester results are out. In our batch, at least, everybody had about 9 CGPA. So it was the thought that 2 years down the line, I have to compete with the same people So you need to have that differentiating factor because you need to actually sell yourself to the person who's going to hire you, right? So it was a short internship of 3 years. There are platforms available like Internchala. At that time, Internchala was very trending. So my first internship was on Internchala around. I'm not asking to say 2,000 rupees per month what I got for internship, but the learning was huge, huge. That 3 month internship taught me how to interact with seniors, how to even build a platform from ground up. So that was my first shot at internship.
I did my first internship in again second year. I think some HR approached me on LinkedIn and she told me if you'll be interested in like teaching our students coding. So yeah, I said yeah, why not? So I taught them C++ and DSA basically in second year. In third year, actually, I did a lot of internships in many of the startups. One of them being Coding Ninjas. So I wrote technical blogs also for those companies and worked in their backend team, which was Node.js based or something. And in final year, I got on-campus opportunity as an intern in IBM, and which I got later converted into. I would rather not say about my first internship, but I would rather say a second internship, but the way how I achieved this internship. This wasn't about VIT. This was about my MBA, and it was peak COVID going on. I did my MBA between 2020 to 22, and it was in operations and supply chain. So you had to be a part of manufacturing factories, industries. If we can portray it, maybe it's MIDC, Sakan, or it's similar industrial areas. And it was peak COVID, all these industries were shut. How do I achieve an internship? As 6 months, sorry, 3 months was a mandatory internship in the MBA curriculum. So how do we do that? So I started thinking about it. Maybe we can think of logistics sector. The trucks might be considered as a necessity item or something like that. That's where I started going to MIDC peak COVID bit when the phase two was rising, right? Everyone had started getting COVID. So that's where I took my two wheeler. I went to Jharkhand and went door to door in this industries. I did that because the other internship I was getting was of a sales, but I am an operations and supply chain student. So how would I do that, right? So that's where I started traveling in MITC Sakan every day. And day one happened, somehow the police caught me, of course, because it's peak COVID. What are you doing on a two wheeler, right? At 3 or 4. So I had my brother some documents. He was some coincidentally ill that day, and he had a file. I took that file. I said that I'm going to a doctor in Chakan. And that's how I just flipped it that way. And day one happened. I couldn't find it. I dropped resumes in the offices, the manufacturing factories. That didn't work out because it's peak COVID. जॉब्स नहीं चल रहे तो इंटर्नशिप कैसे ही मिल जाएगी राइट so day two happened. I again traveled to the same area, traveled more cities and what else? Skoda, Volkswagen, all these industries over there in Sakan. And that's where I got to know that one thing might be open right now. It's logistics. Okay. So refrigeration logistics and clean logistics, right? Logistics like even this bottle can be considered inside a logistics. So refrigeration logistics like vegetables, bananas, all these were shut down because they required oxygen cylinders and oxygen cylinders were required in the COVID. So last option I had there was a trucker. He had a truck parked next to a road. He was drinking old monk in his truck. I went to him. I told him that there is this something called as internship. There is this 3 months of job what we can do, and I need to do that. And it's a part of my curriculum. I need to do that. Somehow I explained it. that trucker helped me meet the truck owner. Okay, so truck owner is a different guy. The truck driver is a different guy. I met the truck driver. He helped me get connected with the truck owner. That truck owner helped me connect with the warehouse owner. And that warehouse owner, logistics, it was open even during COVID. And that's how I connected with him, and he helped me achieve the same types of things.
So I did my first internship when I was in second year. So in first year I have little bit means I built one HTML CSS website. So means I created a website first time, so I got little bit interest on it. So I learned more about HTML, CSS, JavaScript in my first year only. So based on that skills, I got my first internship in the second year, and on that I know means it's unpaid, obviously. So but at that time I learned a lot of things. Means when I created my website on my own, I only uses HTML and CSS only. But when I did an internship, I got means how APIs works, why we need the front end, back end, why we separate these both things. Why means when I build my first website, I don't think about the scalability. I just build it for me. Means मैं बस अपने लिए बना लेता हूँ, मैं खुश हूँ, बाकी कोई देखे ना देखे ऐसा था. But when you means when I started the internship, I realized कि हमें अपने हिसाब से नहीं बनानी होती चीजें, हमें ये सोच के बनानी होती कि सामने वाले से कैसे देख रहा है, किस नजर से देख रहा है. तो यस, तो ऐसे मुझे इंडस्ट्रीज के बारे में थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस आया, और फिर सेकंड ईयर से स्टार्ट किया, फिर थर्ड ईयर में उससे बेटर इंटर्नशिप मिली. तो जब मेरी थर्ड ईयर में दूसरी इंटर्नशिप थी, उसमें मेरा स्टाइपेंड वैसे तो कम था, लेकिन उसमें फर्स्ट टाइम आई लर्न अबाउट द स्केलेबिलिटी, एंड दैट थिंग हेल्प मी टू बिकम अ डेटा इंजीनियर. एट मींस जो फ्रेशर्स रोल्स होते हैं ना, तो किसी को एज अ डेटा इंजीनियर फ्रेशर रोल मिलते नहीं है, सबको एज अ वेब डेवलपर ऐसे ही रोल मिलते हैं. बट आई एम अ लकी वन भी कह सकते हो आप लोग, और ये भी कह सकते हो कि मुझे स्केलेबिलिटी और चीज के बारे में मैंने थोड़ा फोर्थ ईयर के स्टार्टिंग में सोचा था, तो शायद मुझे इसकी वजह से एज अ डेटा इंजीनियर का रोल ऑफर हुआ था. थैंक यू.
Okay, so my next question is to Devkinandan sir. Just now you mentioned the term data engineering. Many of the students are confused between these two, data engineering and data science. So according to your industry experience, can you just differentiate between these two?
So what is the so when I was in college, we did projects like we fetch data from Kaggle, right? But when we talk about the real life, हमें कोई डेटा ला के नहीं देता है. हमें एक तो कहाँ से निकालना पड़ता है उसे. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हम सेंसर्स वगैरह होते हैं ना, जो हम जैसे हम टेस्ला का यूज करते हैं, उसमें बहुत सारे सेंसर्स होते हैं, तो उसमें से हमें डेटा फेच करना पड़ता है. तो उसे तो उसके लिए फिर डेटा फेच करो, उसे ट्रांसफॉर्म करो, और उसे लोड करके एक जगह रखो, फिर बाद में हम उसके ऊपर प्रोसेसिंग करते हैं, राइट. सो जहाँ तक वो जो स्टोर करने वाली जो प्रोसेस है ना, कॉलेज लाइफ के हिसाब से देखा जाए तो हम मोस्ट ऑफ द डेटा सिर्फ कैगल से उठाते हैं. तो कैगल वाले जो है हमें जो डेटा देते हैं वो वेल फॉर्मेटेड होता है, बट रियल लाइफ में जो डेटा होता है वो फॉर्मेटेड नहीं होता है, वो पूरा अनस्ट्रक्चर होता है. तो इसमें ऐसा होता है कि जो डेटा इंजीनियर का जो रोल होता है, उसका काम ये होता है कि वो रॉ डेटा लेता है, वेरियस सोर्सेज से डेटा फैच करता है, लाइक वी हैव सेंसर्स और वेरियस डेटाबेसेस. Sometimes we need to do web scraping also to fetch data from various websites. तो वैसे हम डेटा फेच करते हैं और बाद में उसे ट्रांसफॉर्म करते हैं. तो जो डेटा इंजीनियर का जो काम होता है वो ये होता है कि वो एक रॉ डेटा को एक वैल्यूएबल इनसाइट्स में कन्वर्ट करता है. तो जो डेटा साइंटिस्ट का काम होता है वो डेटा से सिर्फ इनसाइट्स निकालना होता है, वो बस ये पता करता है कि इसके ऊपर मशीन लर्निंग एल्गोरिथम्स कैसे लगा है, वो प्री प्रोसेसिंग पे ज्यादा ध्यान नहीं देता है। तो जो डेटा इंजीनियर्स होते हैं वो प्री प्रोसेसिंग पे ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं। तो अगर आप में से कोई मतलब डेटा इंजीनियरिंग या डेटा साइंस की तरफ प्रिपरेशन कर रहा होगा, तो मुझे लगता है कि जब हम करियर के स्टार्ट में होते हैं तो हम डायरेक्ट ट्राई करते हैं कि रिकमेंडेशंस प्रोजेक्ट्स, मशीन लर्निंग और एआई एजेंट्स या एआई प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाए। तो उसके लिए हमें सबसे पहले जो बेसिक चीज चाहिए होती है वो होती है डेटा। तो मुझे लगता है कि तुम्हारा भी करियर ऐसा मीन्स आप थोड़ा बहुत डेटा इंजीनियरिंग और डेटा साइंस दोनों का कॉम्बो यूज करना चाहिए एज इंटरव्यू इन इंटरव्यूज।
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Varad, sir. Many of the students treat AI as a small theory or a small project. So according to your experience, how can we learn AI so that it will be applicable in real world or production based?
So, as you rightly said, that yeah, most of the projects that we see in third year or final year, they are like literally identifying whether image is cat or dog. Like most of you have done that project definitely, I'm pretty sure. So AI, don't limit yourself just for the fact that this is a CNN RNN classification. World is moving pretty fast from conventional neural networks to now large language models, right? So don't just limit yourself to that. Of course, from a final year student or even a third year student, it is not expected to build large language models. But your thought process should be like, how do I leverage large language models to build meaningful solutions? Just for an example of what we are doing and implementing a solution. How many of you have heard about SAP? SAP is a very famous ERP system that is worked across many industries. Like most top-notch companies use SAP as ERP. So these big companies have invoices coming through the companies. So that might be a sales invoice or something, some goods that they may have purchased. Now the accountants of these companies have to manually make an entry into an ERP, that is the SAP. So how we leverage AI to do that? हमने वो invoice को OCR कर दिया, we passed it. What all data that needs to be posted into the SAP system, we ask the large language model to identify the vendor from the SAP system, because everything that you have to do in the SAP while posting an invoice into an SAP is you need to fetch the correct vendor, fetch the correct account number, or even fetch the correct bank details of the particular vendor, because that information will be later used to process that invoice. So we created an AI agent using LLMs. We did not build the LLM, but we leveraged LLMs such that it extracted the data, did all those computations, all decision making that a human is supposed to do, and then use that data to post the invoice. So this is just one example on how you can think of solutions that actually impact. Not it is really not just about building a simple classification, but think your thought process should be how you can build systems that will achieve some meaningful business process in the long run that should solve a bigger problem, right? So that's my big advice to while building projects related to AI.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Chinmay, sir. For students who are not completely aiming for pure coding roles and they are hoping for a job or internship in business analysis, what all are the internships or the certificates or even the projects they should focus on?
Certificates, if we say one certificate is the PMP, but it requires some prior experience, so that is a parameter which you need to consider. Apart from that, things like Power BI, if you learn, you can enter into data analysis, data analytics, all these roles. Uh, if you are not into coding, you need to find how you can apply what the coders have built. So one thing is, let's say they have built a software. I, as a business analyst, used to discuss with the customer how they want this software to be customized. So there are some configurations present, of course, like if, he gave an example of invoice using OCR. No way I can't still believe that he has worked on the same thing which I have. Like, to be really honest with you. But he was on the technical end, I was on the functional end. So he used to build using LLMs, he used to build it. I'll come on the story a bit one step back to what you've said. Um, so before when did LLMs come into market? Maybe 23, yeah, right? 23. We had got this problem statement from the customers back in 2022, 21, 22. So there, what had happened is it's a real life statement. Okay, so there are invoices, and literally in a particular month there are at least 50,000 invoices coming in their industry. How do they process it? If we have AP members are the account payable members, basically BCom graduates. If we have it to process 50,000 invoices, so what is processing the invoice? Processing the invoices, basically you need to find who is the supplier, what all are the items in the invoice, what all quantities, what all market price, what are the payment terms. Payment terms as in I will repay to you after I received the materials after 30 days. So net 30 is a payment term. So similar things like that. Now you need to extract it and put it in your ERP. So how do you do that? 50,000 invoices in a particular month. So you say accordingly you would require at least 2,000 at least AP members, these BCom graduates. So 2,000 members multiplied by, even if we say 10,000 rupees salary. So how much is the cost applied to that? Now if we apply this invoice reader, so we had received this problem statement in 21, 22. So what we had done, we had used the CNN models, the traditional, we used to train the data set, test the data set. So for that, as a trainer, a person, let's assume a business analyst. As a business analyst, I had to take, so let's say 50,000 invoices are there. So I can roughly assume there might be 5,000 suppliers, right? So I had to train all those 5,000 supplier invoices, because this supplier invoice is different than this supplier invoice. Someone is giving pen and paper invoice, someone is giving printed, and they have a pattern, maybe logo is here, logo is there, the detail maybe ship to name is over here, someone might have somewhere in the bottom. So these all, we collected all those training data sets and trained the invoices. So at least we had to take a sample set of, maybe if we are saying 500 suppliers, then we had to take multiplied by 5 invoices. So we would test on train on 5 invoices, and the sixth invoice would be to test that is it working good now, or does it require more training. So this was on the CNN. Cut to 23, 24, LLMs have come in the market. LLMs know everything. You need to simply upload that invoice, that PDF format on the LLM, and it gives all the answers. But you need to just guide it, that you need to find the ship to address from this invoice. You need to find the amount, total, the quantities, all these items. So just you need to ask the LLM that I need these values. So right, so this is how the AI is changing, right? From CNN now to LLM, right? So yeah, application of these softwares is where you need to focus on. LLM as a tool, you have it in the market, but what is the next statement? Application of that LLM. Sorry, I what was the question which you had asked me? I
The question was for non-coding students.
Yeah, so I already mentioned the Power BI and all these roles which you can focus on. Data is there, data will be there in all the industries. If the customer is, so when you are discussing in a job, right? When you are into a job, you are serving the customer in the end, right? And with, it's not one customer, it's not two customers, you have at least 100 customers who have 10,000 customers ahead. So you have a large data set with you, how you can utilize that using maybe dashboards or BI, if I can say, or LLMs which are there right now. So that's how it's your problem statement.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Sohail, sir. What kind of projects or experience in the resume will help a backend developer while shortlisting in a product-based company?
Uh, okay, so first of all, how many of you folks want to really get into coding kind of a jobs and in backend actually? Okay, great. A lot of people. Uh, I'm audible, right? So you mean what kind of projects, right? So I think the projects needs to be more tool based and it has some kind of unique uniqueness in it. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Okay, you can actually build a simple to do list app, but try to add more and more tech stacks into it. Maybe if you have deployed it on your local host, try creating a virtual machine and deploy it on a Linux or a Rail host. Okay, and then maybe you make use of Docker or Kubernetes to scale up to make replicas of it and stuff. Okay, so these are a kind of stuffs which really do help us a lot to get shortlisted. And actually most of the hiring managers and tech leads look at your project and they see what are the tech stacks this particular guy has used in its projects. Okay, so for example, what project I did basically in my final year, it was basically a phishing URL detection kind of app. It was a website which was based on React, and in backend we used Python and Flask. Okay, and we used ML models, which basically kind of we fetch the whatever URL. आप सभी को मैसेज आता होगा कि इस लिंक पर क्लिक करें आपके अकाउंट में 1 लाख आएगा, लेकिन नहीं आता है. So you provide that link. Our basically our in our website you provide that link that will extract do a data engineering of it. We used Selenium stuffs to extract the features of it, and then we fed that data into our model. Our model then predicted the score. We developed a lot of REST APIs to give the tabular kind of data to chart data and Prometheus and stuff. So make use of a lot of tech stacks, learn all those things, and it doesn't matter if it matters to some extent if your project is actually unique or not, but it matters way more that what kind of tech stacks and how much tech stacks you actually know, right? So I think that what's differentiate between these two resumes which I see.
I just want to add on to that point. Whenever you make a project, no matter what, please deploy it. Like don't just keep it onto your resume and because while interviewing as an interviewer, if you see the project live and the candidate इंटरव्यूअर को पता चल जाता है कि ये प्रोजेक्ट कहीं से उठाया हुआ है या नहीं बिकॉज हम भी इंटरव्यू दे चुके हैं सो ट्रस्ट मी वो इंटरव्यूअर पहचान लेते हैं कि द डेप्थ ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट दैट द कैंडिडेट हैज बाय जस्ट सीइंग इट because when the interviewer sees the project live in front of him, he will ask you how did you deploy it, what kind of technology, and when you answer to all those questions, that takes the interview in a whole different direction. So please deploy your projects, and there are a lot of free tools available. If you go to it, there is Railway, there is Next.js, Vercel. You can deploy your front-end on Vercel, back-end on Railway. There are free databases called as NewNDB, Supabase. कहीं पे भी करो पर करो.
ऐसा ना हो कि इंटरव्यू बोले आपका आपका है वो मेरे लोकल होस्ट में, ऐसे नहीं बोले.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is again to Devkinandan sir. In placement, how many of the students really make that level of data engineering project, which are not just tools and technology? It is a real world impact or a business impact, which creates that business impact.
तो इससे अगर देखा जाए तो डेटा इंजीनियरिंग के जो प्रोजेक्ट्स है ना वो उसके लिए लगता है बहुत सारा डेटा. एक्चुअली हम कैंपस पे भी अगर ढूंढे तो इतना डेटा हमें अवेलेबल नहीं होता है. वो हमें जब हम रियल लाइफ में यूज करेंगे ना तो मिलियंस समटाइम्स इट विल बी इन ट्रिलियंस ऑफ डेटा. तो अगर आप प्रोजेक्ट्स की बात करें तो let me tell you the story of my final year project. So when I was in my first year, so ऐसे एक alumni meet थी तो उसमें वो हमें बता रहे थे कि आप HTML CSS या कोई वेब डेवलपमेंट का प्रोजेक्ट अपने रिज्यूमे में डाल दो और आपका प्लेसमेंट हो जाएगा. But when I was in 2024, the market changes, everyone moving to machine learning, deep learning. उस टाइम पे तो LLMs इतना थे नहीं, तो सब लोग मशीन लर्निंग की बातें कर रहे थे. हर किसी के रिज्यूमे में वही प्रोजेक्ट दिख रहे थे, right? But instead of project, I think you should focus on what currently new technologies coming to our market, right? Like our times, the LMs comes into the picture, and when the ChatGPT launches, I used in just in 3 months of its launching. Means जैसे वो लॉन्च हुआ तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि करंटली मार्केट में अभी चल क्या रहा है, आप उस हिसाब से अपना प्रोजेक्ट्स खुद बनाओ और खुद एक प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट फाइंड करो और उस हिसाब से आप ये फिगर आउट करो कि हम वो प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट को सॉल्व कैसे करें. जस्ट लाइक मैंने लेट मी टेल यू माय स्टोरी ऑफ माय फाइनल ईयर प्रोजेक्ट. सो मैंने क्या बनाया था, हर कोई एलएलएम वगैरह यूज कर रहे थे, मैंने सोचा मैं कुछ अलग ट्राई करके देखता हूँ. तो हम कोरोना में पास आउट, कोरोना में हमें कॉलेज अलग हुआ था. At that time, most of the teachers just means बोल रहे थे कि आप क्लासरूम पे अपने असाइनमेंट्स अपलोड करो. तो बच्चे क्या करते थे, एक बच्चा असाइनमेंट बनाता था, दूसरा बच्चा बस उसमें नाम चेंज करता था और वही असाइनमेंट क्लासरूम पे जाके अपलोड कर देता था. तो मुझे यहाँ पे दिखा कि ये तो गड़बड़ है कि हर कोई बच्चा एक ही असाइनमेंट कर रहा है और टीचर्स के लिए प्रॉब्लम ये था वो किस किस बच्चे का असाइनमेंट चेक कर रहा है. तो मुझे यहाँ पे दिखा एक प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट. तो मैंने सोचा चलो इसको सॉल्व करते हैं. तो फिर मैंने उसमें रिसर्च किया, बहुत सारी अलग अलग चीजें एक्सप्लोर की, हाउ टू means solve this problem statement. I use NLP, machine learning, and at that time the LLMs come to a picture, then it will be easy for me to means हम प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट कैसे सॉल्व करें. तो मुझे लगता है कि आप भी ऐसे कोई प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट ढूंढेंगे और खुद सॉल्व करेंगे तो ये मैटर नहीं करता कि आपने मशीन लर्निंग, अगर आपको डेटा साइंस की जॉब चाहिए या डेटा इंजीनियरिंग की जॉब चाहिए तो आपको डेटा इंजीनियरिंग का एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाना पड़ेगा, ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है. यू शुड सॉल्व एनी प्रॉब्लम, यू शुड बी अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर. और ऐसा नहीं कि आप बस कोडिंग ही करें, क्योंकि आज के टाइम पे ऐसा है कि एआई एजेंट्स इतने पावरफुल हो गए हैं कि वो खुद कोड लिख सकते हैं. तो आपको आई थिंक मुझे लगता है कि आपको हाई लेवल डिजाइन में फोकस करना चाहिए था कि हम कैसे प्रोजेक्ट को स्केलेबल बना सके, क्योंकि आज के टाइम पे वो एआई एजेंट स्केलेबल नहीं, एआई जो भी कोड लिखता है वो इतना स्केलेबल नहीं है. तो आई थिंक यू शुड फोकस ऑन इट अबाउट हाई लेवल डिजाइन और लो लेवल डिजाइन.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Varad, sir. Many of many of the students many of the students work on the front end, back end, and as well as the cloud infrastructure. So, what is your suggestion that the student should be a truly full stack developer too, and also specialized in one of the specific domain?
So my suggestion would be you have all these subjects in your curriculum right now. So try to focus on full stack because the consider it as a career advice because well, if you are focusing on one single domain, then you just limit yourselves to companies that are just going to hire for that particular domain. And no matter what companies come, how they are not expecting specialization in any domain at your stage of career. So if you have all the skill sets of full stack developer, backend, front end, cloud, database, then you have opportunities across the domains, right? So as I'll take my previous example and go ahead. You take one project, deploy it fully. Then when you go in front of the interviewer, you can explain about it all, right? Like how do you deploy the backend, how do you make the backend, which database to use, why was this particular design decision was taken. So your interview will be a holistic interview rather than okay what SQL queries you use or what clients you use. So the depth of knowledge at this stage is not important, the breadth of knowledge is important, is what I'll say. So focus on full stack rather than specialization.
Okay, thank you. So my next question is to Chinmay sir. How can an engineering student explore and prepare for business-oriented roles alongside a technical career?
So I think I have explained a bit earlier as well that you need to focus on the application part rather than the just the coding. Coding, of course, there will be coders who will be doing it, but how do you utilize that code? How do you uh, get think of it as a business? Okay, so if I am a business and I need a code prepared for me, how what all who all are the stakeholders? First is I understand the market research. Okay, so who all are requiring this thing? A basic example, if I give you that, there are literally hundreds, thousands of MSMEs right now, middle scale, small scale industrial sectors right now. Everyone requires one basic thing, it's a website. I'm going on a grassroots level, a very bottom level, which I'm talking about. Everyone needs a website to be created. And so, how many are there in the market right now? That is first thing. That is one market research you have done. That okay, there are maybe 100,000 companies in Pune alone, and out of them, only maybe 3,000 or 4,000 of them have a website of their own. And second question is to understand, okay, to self-understand that out of those 100,000, how many require websites? Okay, so for example, there is a laundry guy. So will he require a website? Of course not. Right? Out of 100,000, you understand that okay, so maybe 60,000 businesses are there who require a website to be created or who can leverage website to build their business on a wider scale. Okay. So leaving the 40,000 aside, 60,000, and out of those 60,000, only maybe 5,000 of them have a website of their own. So how can they leverage? How can you guys leverage on that? Is that you can help them with the basics, of course, a plain web page. Would that work? Yeah, right. Maybe you can just give information on those pages, or maybe a sample form on that page for data collection, maybe about customers. This is a very basic example I'm giving. If we go on a larger scale, of course, we'll have to think of a better example of that. But of course, business. If we say business, you need to the first aspect of business is market research. First, check the market. What all things are there in the market? What all things are not there? Secondly, check connect you get a coder guy with you. You check what all how you can leverage this guy. Second part is okay, the payment, that is the secondary part. How you can leverage this guy. You don't know the skills of coding. How you can get this guy? For example, maybe this guy is a AI guy. Okay, so he knows how to utilize LLMs, how to give prompts, and how to get the relevant outcomes. So this invoice example which I gave, that was one similar example. That is a real life problem which we identified, right? That there are these many invoices, and you require 2,000 AP members of the BCom graduates in the market. If you use this LLM tool, if you leverage this LLM tool, you won't require 2,000 people, but rather you would just require 20 people, because whatever AI is extracting, of course, it is not 100% accurate, right? There might be 95% accuracy. Even AI, what during when it was CNN, the accuracy what we were achieving was around 36% of for all languages, except English. English accuracy we were getting was around 90-92%. But other languages, if we say German, okay, or French, we were getting accuracy of 36-37%. But the day we increased, we put a lot of resources on that, human resources, money, and everything to enhance it, and that's where we got around 80-81% somewhere around accuracy. But the day we changed it to LLM, we received 95% straight. So, and the benefit out of it is that you don't require resources, right? The resources, the time you require for a traditional AI, you require a lot of time to train it by yourself. But through LLMs, it is just like you don't require training at all, right? So what your experience is?
I particularly have, like, we have just deployed this project. So I don't know if you know Lloyd's Metals, the AC wala Lloyd. So we have just deployed the same project on their platform. So the invoice comes in, there is a, as you said, the invoice extracts the data. The extraction data is reviewed by a human in the loop. We call it maker checker. So one makes it, the other one checks it. And then that data, then the LLM uses its own knowledge to find the correct vendor, GL account details, and their bank details, and then uses that data to post it into an SAP. So currently, their accounts team had 20 people, and there more requests. So this project came into us in that way. They had requested 25 more people in their accounts team, but their head of accounts came to us for this project, and then we have completely solved that problem right now. So it is literally magic what LLM does it to you, but you have to think of it in that way. As you said, think of the problem statement that you are trying to solve. Don't make projects just to make projects. Trying to solve actual business problem and get that business problem validated from an actual user. Literally जाके पूछो कि what is the problem that you are currently facing and what can I solve. Identifying the business problem is really first.
So you can probably think of it from a KPI perspective. Are you aware what is a KPI? Key performance indicator. And the indicator, the KPI, what we are talking about is lead time. The first is lead time, and the second is the resources, the human resources. Initially, we were requiring maybe 2,000 AP members. Now we require maybe hardly 20. So how much is the decline in the number of resources required, right? So the main objective of the business is, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मुझे ये बॉटल में बेचता हूँ 20 रुपए, ये मुझे बनती है मैंने सिर्फ 10 रुपए की. Now how I can reduce that? अभी इसका कैप का मे बी इवन 1 mm if we reduce that way we are saving some plastic and मेरा estimate थोड़ा कम हो रहा है, 10 से मे बी 9.8 रुपीज हो जाएगा. The main objective behind the business is कि मेरे से 10 रुपए की चीज बन रही है 20 रुपए को बेच रहा हूँ, 10 रुपए से मैं आगे और कितना कम कर सकता हूँ. द मार्केटिंग वालों का काम क्या है कि वो आगे बेचेंगे, उनको धंधा बढ़ाना है. योर वर्क as maybe a coder, maybe any business. I was being asked as a business from business point. It is कि प्राइस कैसे में कम करेंगे, कॉस्ट प्राइस कम करनी. अगर तुमको प्रॉफिट चाहिए, you can do it by two methods. One is कि आप सेलिंग प्राइस बढ़ा दो, but people forget the second thing. It is कि कॉस्ट प्राइस भी कम, and उसके लिए what efforts you.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Sohail sir. As you all have mentioned the terms like scalability and performance, as a student, I will just like to ask that how should we start learning this, or how early we should start, and what is the practical way to start it?
Yeah. Okay. The basics first. You need to cover the basics. आपको firstly, though, you need to know how to deploy the applications. Okay. Build a simple to-do list app or something. Anything is fine. And now I'll say start learning about the containerization and workloads. So Docker is a very good tool, and Kubernetes basically to orchestrate your applications. Okay. Now how I would have done it is basically I had a Windows laptop. Okay. So I used Oracle virtual machine. Okay. Virtual box and software basically. So I deployed a Ubuntu VM inside my Windows VM, and on that Ubuntu basically I pulled my all the source code from GitHub, and I deployed it in that virtual machine on a Docker host. Basically that VM was acting as a Docker host for me. Then yeah, I used Kubernetes, and I made use of some cloud concepts. So you can make you actually it's really simple to learn Docker and Kubernetes and cloud. It's not rocket science actually. So make use of those tools. Then once you get to know Docker Kubernetes, you'll know how to deploy the application and how to scale it up, when to scale it up and how to scale it up. That's a really good differentiator between these things. And uh, I'll say for a fresher, like nobody is going to ask you more than this one as a fresher straight out of college. You'll get to know about scalability, about CDN, content delivery networks, how things are managed at different zones. Maybe if I want my application to be used by somebody in US, then there should be very less latency for those to be used, right? So those are really some advanced topics, I would say. But start by learning Docker, Kubernetes. You should definitely learn Linux. Any operating system is good, but Linux is really used a lot in any product based companies which I have seen. So Linux, Docker, Kubernetes, deploy your application, know how to how the CI/CD pipeline works basically, how Git, GitHub, and all these tools work, and you will get the resources on YouTube or maybe Udemy courses. I personally did it from Coding Ninjas because I got free access of their courses. But there's a hack actually. You can go to Telegram and there are a lot of free links over there.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we have heard many great points. So now let's make this session more interactive. Welcome to Q&A session, and please feel free to ask and raise your questions.
Yeah, we have that.
यूएसए में एक IPO चल रहा है, इंडिया में नहीं चल रहा, क्यों नहीं चल रहा? मेरे भाई
Such interesting things.
Yeah,
CDNs and all.
CDN
go full stack or to specialize in one thing. So the thing is that I have a lot of interest in cloud things on the offside. I have worked with startup in like deploying their application, scaling it, and also migrating from one infrastructure to another. Like they deployed their application on AKS, sorry, AKS, the Kubernetes by AWS. So we like merged it or removed that from two ECS, that is a little bit managed service by AWS, but it saves a lot of cost. And also I've done a few bit of certifications from AWS, Azure, GCP and OCI also. And I want to ask like that, मुझे मतलब कोई मतलब full stack front end back end में कुछ इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, तो मेरे को जो डिप्लॉयमेंट होता है स्केलेबिलिटी होता है जैसे लाइक डॉकर कुबरनेटिस मॉनिटरिंग के लिए ग्राफाना वगैरह ये चीजें ये मुझे करनी है. तो एज अ फ्रेशर और जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी कैसी है, मुझे क्या क्या और सीखना पड़ेगा, सर्टिफिकेशंस करने की क्या क्या जरूरत है, और एज अ फ्रेशर्स मतलब कोई ऐसे तो रोल वगैरह होते हैं या फिर एज अ फ्रेशर्स कोई लेगा भी नहीं, कोई लेता मतलब होगी या नहीं. एंड अगेन इसमें भी डेवऑप्स में भी मतलब मैं काफी प्रोफिशिएंट हूं लिनक्स में, बैश स्क्रिप्टिंग हो गया, ऑटोमेशन हो गया, और जो साइबर सिक्योरिटी की साइड है उसमें मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्ट है. और मैंने मतलब काफी पहले सीटीएस पे पार्टिसिपेट किए थे, और जो भी ट्राई हैक में वगैरह उनके जो लैब्स वगैरह होते हैं वो मैंने किए. तो मुझे ये जानना है कि एज अ फ्रेशर तो मुझे ये फ्रंट एंड बैक एंड नहीं करना, तो मुझे डेवऑप्स साइड ये जो साइबर सिक्योरिटी डेवऑप्स नेटवर्किंग ये साइड है, तो मुझे क्या क्या और चीजें करनी चाहिए मतलब मार्केट्स वगैरह फ्रेशर.
So for DevOps, there are a lot of openings actually. In our company specifically, in Embassy Tech Zone, there is a place in phase 2. Okay, so people do hire DevOps engineers, in even freshers. There are dedicated roles for it. We call them SREs, Site Reliability Engineers. Okay, so DevOps folks are like really pain for us because हमारे यहाँ तो कभी कुछ चलता ही नहीं, उनका कभी ना कुछ कुछ फटा हुआ रहता है कुछ.
load testing is the worst.
Yes.
Load testing is nightmare.
Yeah. So you were asking if there is job opportunity. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities for even for DevOps. Now you said that you don't have interest in front end and back end, but I would say learn something because ultimately DevOps guys needs to know how the application is deployed.
सिंपल चीज पता है पर मेरे को उसमें
No. पूरा मत जाओ उसमें, बाहरी बाहर से खेलो.
मतलब मुझे मतलब और जानना है मतलब मुझे एट यही रोल्स पसंद है.
Yeah, he has a clarity. Yeah, so but basic, you Linux, you said you know, right? That's a very good thing. You should know networking, okay, TCP, IP, and all the stuffs. Okay, you must be knowing कि Azure में you have a bunch of different VMs.
Yes.
You need to form कि a virtual machine how it communicates to another virtual machine. मेरे पास दो laptops है, how can I open a default gateway to interact with them, subnetting, routing, and stuff. This is very important for you. Okay, any DevOps person should know operating systems, computer networks. This thing we neglect actually. In college, I didn't know anything about OS and TCP/IP stuff. Okay, so these things. Apart from that, yeah, go ahead.
And any certifications like
Certifications.
Azure और उसके है ना Azure AWS के जो basic beginner वाले
Yes,
certificates,
yes.
those are only I think the way to go. Certifications wise, if you are asking, the Azure basics, the Google also provides similar. Google also provides similar certificates, Azure and AWS. So if you do the beginner certificates also, that will be good enough for the job hunting. And for specifically for there are very few companies that come for DevOps hiring usually. Dedicated DevOps के लिए बहुत कम companies आते हैं. So what I recommend for job perspective is massively promote yourself on LinkedIn. LinkedIn पे जाके खुद को बेचो. Publish your achievements out loud. Connect with people who actually are managers, engineering managers in the company, and reach out to them. They will help you out because openings are there. But I don't think companies do come into college to hire for roles. Roles are there, but you have to find out yourself in your case.
one more question to Varad sir. As you told, you were working on AI project. AI project, in which you mentioned you work with Lloyd, the AC manufacturer. I wanted to ask like which framework or libraries do you use to orchestrate all the AI agents?
From development perspective or
From development, like what frameworks do you use to build that AI agent or to do all the like orchestration, the passing?
typical mon stack is there. So digging a little bit deeper, then you have RAG. So RAG database, you can have different types of vector DB. If you know, Azure has a special vectorized database, Galactic or something, it has that name. But VectorDB, you can have Pinecone, and then LLM calls are pretty straightforward. So you can have your Node.js project getting LLM calls, right? So there is no specific Python development also required. I'll say to that. So OCR parsing is also done by LLMs that are servers in Node.js TypeScript. Then frontend is built on React, and the whole application is containerized and deployed on Azure.
One last question. So you told like this is a production grade project like is now deployed. So I will ask like whether did you make all the API calls or did you mostly manage globally in terms of like security, like whatever we send the data, it was there.
So this is an enterprise grade application. So we had a very strict requirement that, so you know, being a DevOps guy, there was an outbound hard bounding of the network. So no outgoing calls besides the private cloud. So they had a private cloud and the containerized application was deployed on Azure private cloud itself. So no external API calls are allowed. So whatever LLM calls that had to be made, that were under the Azure AI Foundry itself. So since Azure AI Foundry sits within the private cloud, those LLM API calls are allowed. Even the database, MongoDB database has a peering database peering with it. So database peering that sits in the Azure private cloud. So entire application is sitting in the private cloud. So that was the core requirement of it.
As we can see, trends in CSIT fields are continuously changing. So, as a student, we try to learn that trends. For example, we are learning a particular trend, But as soon as we complete that particular trend, suddenly new trend arises. For example, at first there is a need of full stack developers or web developers. Now, in present, there is a need of AI related jobs. So, what we need to in these type of situations.
Just one. Uh, Actually, our CTO visited India around a 1 month back, and even some of the senior folks in our company asked if AI is going to take our jobs, software developers' job. So he said AI is not going to take our jobs, but the guy who knows AI is going to take our jobs. So software front end back end is not going anywhere. अगर आप चैट जीपीटी को कितना भी बोलो कि अच्छा बनाए, कुछ ना कुछ इशू आते ही रहेंगे उसमें. So you should know how to you should know how to make use of tools to build your application. Okay, in whenever we joined freshly, there was no stuff AI and stuff. We used to write code from scratch. Okay, हमारे टाइम पे चैट जीपीटी भी इतना भी कुछ नहीं था, थोड़ा सा हेल्पफुल, लाइक मेरे टाइम पे तो एटलीस्ट. Okay, then that AI boom came, and now IBM is investing in tools, AI tools. There is Bob, there is Watson X, just like Gemini and stuff. So they provide us VS Code extensions for these apps. Okay, वो हम अपने VS Code में add करते हैं. We write the code, then at the side tab we get a lot of options to explain that code or refactor that code or reduce it or make some improvements in code basically. So you should know the basics. कहीं नहीं जाने वाले. You should really, I would highly recommend कि आप पढ़ो, मतलब बैक एंड कोई भी एक लैंग्वेज पकड़ो, उसको बहुत अच्छे से मास्टर करो. इवन डू कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग इन दैट, बिल्ड योर लॉजिक, and side by side you should really learn about these AI tools, Copilot and this stuff. Okay, these are there to help us, not to take our jobs. So don't fear, just upskill yourself.
Sir, I really appreciate you, but I know that human mind is one step ahead than AI. But my question was continuously trending to trend arise. So as a student, we are trying to learn that trend, but suddenly we completely new trend arise. So what we
Change is the only constant of the nature.
Yeah.
There is one thing, things are always going to change. It is our job. We are still learning. New things come up every day in the market. We still, I personally still do lead code now also. So you have to adapt yourself. Today AI is going to be there. Tomorrow quantum computing is going to come in. Different types of encryption mechanisms will be broken down tomorrow. So you have to adapt to that. It is the part of the nature cycle, right? New things are going to come. Think of it like that. 30 years ago, there were still software engineers who are still, they still have a job today. Just to answer your question. So, आपकी job कहीं नहीं जाने वाली. Only thing is you have to adapt. You should be open to adapt to whatever is there in the industry right now. Don't be stagnant. Just keep on learning new things.
I think I discussed the same thing with ma'am. Okay, today morning. It's regarding how do I portray it? If we say the thing, okay. So let's say the final year project, which will be, I think you might have already started working on. If you need to use an OCR in some way, will you today build it from scratch? It was my final year project. Okay, number detection system, vehicle number detection system. We have to build it from scratch. But today, do you need it? You have the APIs ready for it, right? So it's not like you are going to build it from scratch. You have achieved that benchmark. From this benchmark, you are moving ahead. AI is the similar benchmark. AI has been achieved in a particular way that to grow ahead, you need to build the applications for that. How do I apply this in it? So that is how I think I would portray this answer.
And don't stop learning. Don't stop learning new things.
You know what? I'm a first batch of artificial intelligence. So when I was started my BTech in artificial intelligence, even in first year I don't know what is it. So the things is, as you said, ki day by day the new technologies come into the market, but the core is already means core means जो core है वो change नहीं होने वाला है. जो core है उसके ऊपर ही न्यू लेयर्स बनते जा रही है. तो अगर आपको कोर पता है उसके ऊपर कोई नई लेयर आई तो आप अगर नई लेयर में आपको कुछ प्रॉब्लम लगा तो आप अगर आपको कोर पता रहा तो आप इजीली आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हो वो चीज. तो आई थिंक यू शुड मीन्स आपको पहले तो सबसे पहले कोर पता होना चाहिए. और आप जैसे बोल रहे कि न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी जो आ रही है वो कोर के ऊपर ही आ रही है, तो आप बस कोर को एज अगर आपको मीन्स ऊपर से ही कवर कर सकते हो थोड़ा. मीन्स आई वांट टू से कि आप इन डेप्थ ना जाकर जैसे अभी एननेट एक एप्लीकेशन आया है, एक टूल आया है जिसमें हम एजेंटिक एआई बना सकते हैं. तो जैसे हमारे इंडस्ट्री में हम सोच रहे हैं कि उसका पीओसी करें. तो अगर हमें इसका कोर पता है कि एजेंटिक एआई यूज कैसे करते हैं तो हम उसे यूज मतलब एजेंटिक एआई का यूज कैसे होता है तो हम एनएट को यूज कर सकते हैं, राइट. तो बस कोर पे ज्यादातर फोकस रहे तो अच्छा होगा.
In short, learn everything, okay, and yes.
Sorry, are you guys aware of agentic AI? What is agentic AI? So that is currently booming. Okay, every company wants it. Each and every company. So currently, if I can say, if you are graduating right now, start working on it. How to apply AI to an agent.
Anyone has worked on MCP servers? 2, 3. Me also. Okay. So actually, a few of folks, our company and our partner company has hired, and around 30 people. All those 30 interns are doing their project in MCP servers and agentic AI. So we have our product. They are building MCP servers for those products. So that's a great tool to learn. So just a heads up for you guys. That will definitely. आपने बोला ना shortlist कैसे हो गया ऐसे हो.
Stand out, literally stand out from the people who you are competing against. That's how companies will hire you.
Good morning. My name is Anok. So, as Devkinandan sir mentioned that AI gives code but it's not scalable. And he said that system design is what you should focus on, low level, high level. So, can you elaborate on what exactly system design means? And a trailing question would be now I participated in multiple hackathons, but the problem is not about implementation because AI does everything in that. But the problem is ideation phase, where you do not consider security, scalability, any edge cases, and plus innovation. So that's where I also lack, and I want guidance that how can I think out of the box every time to like implement the things which are not like currently happening. Now I don't know what scalable things mean. I don't know what exactly security features should be there in a website, normal website. So, and also the system design. So, please, can you start?
So you know what? When I was graduating, the best source of learning is the first one is the YouTube. We all means we all learn from it, and other one is the teacher, right? But now आज के डेट में अगर मुझे पूछा जाए कि बेस्ट लर्निंग सोर्स कौन सा है तो मैं सबसे पहले बोलूंगा कि आप चैट जीपीटी यूज करें, क्योंकि चैट जीपीटी से आपको बेसिक पता चल जाता है कि मतलब ये चीज होती कैसे है. अगर आपको इन-डेप्थ नॉलेज चाहिए होगा उसी फील्ड में तो आप जो उस फील्ड के एक्सपर्ट होंगे आपको उसी से वो चीज एक्सप्लोर करनी पड़ेगी. जैसे जब पहले कैसा होता था इंडस्ट्रीज में जब हम कोई बग आता था तो उसे रिसॉल्व करना होता था तो हम सबसे पहले ट्राई करते थे कि स्टैक ओवरफ्लो यूज कर ले या ब्राउजिंग से सॉल्व कर ले, मे बी इजीली हो जाए. बट आज के डेट में हम वैसे सॉल्व नहीं करते बग्स. अगर हमें कोई बग्स मिलता है तो हम एआई जो एआई के जो एजेंट्स होते हैं उनसे ट्राई करते हैं कि अगर ये सॉल्व करते तो हमारी प्रॉब्लम कम हो जाए, राइट. तो जैसे आपने मुझे बोला कि हम स्केलेबल एप्लीकेशंस कैसे बनाएं और हम बहुत सोचे कैसा. तो जैसे अगर आपको कुछ डाउट्स आ रहे हैं दिमाग में कि ये चीज कैसे होगी, तो आप डायरेक्ट चैट जीपीटी से ही बात कर सकते हो ना। मतलब आप चैट जीपीटी को ऐसे ट्रीट करो जैसे वो आपका फ्रेंड है। आपको कुछ भी डाउट आता है आप उससे पूछिए कि ये चीज हम कैसे करें, वो आपको कुछ सॉल्यूशन देगा। अगर आपको लगता है कि ये सॉल्यूशन में जो उसने बोला उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम है, आप उसको फिर बोलिए, वो आपको फिर कुछ ना कुछ रिस्पॉन्स करेगा ही। तो आई थिंक मैंने जो मेरा फाइनल ईयर, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि मैंने जो प्रोजेक्ट बना रहा था, मुझे उसके बारे में जीरो आइडिया था कि मतलब मैं बनाऊं जैसे, मैंने वो भी डिसाइड हुआ था। बट उस टाइम पे चैट जीपीटी भी लर्निंग फेज पे था, तो मैं उसे ही प्रॉम्प्ट देता था कि ये प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है तो मैं इसे कैसे सॉल्व करूं। अगेन उसने मुझे कुछ सॉल्यूशन दिया, आई नो कि वो इतना फिजिबल नहीं था, तो मैं जो पॉइंट मुझे इनफिजिबल लगता था मैं उसे वही पॉइंट वापस देके फिर पूछता था कि इसको मैं कैसे ट्राई करूं। So I think you should also make ChatGPT as your friend or your colleague. That will help you to build a better application.
You might as well need to answer that scalability. We said about scalability, how scalability should be.
And as you mentioned, how can you handle scalability, right? You are asking that question or anything else?
Scalability, security, and system design. What are the good measures? Like how what is a good scalable design? What is a good system design? And what are the good things in security which you should add in the website or
So-
any stuff?
तो देखो, स्केलेबिलिटी का मीनिंग क्या होता है कि जब आपके पास बहुत सारे यूजर्स आए तो आपका एप्लीकेशन बंद नहीं पड़ना चाहिए, फटना नहीं चाहिए। या और जब हम डेटा इंजीनियर्स की बात करते हैं या डेटा पाइपलाइंस वगैरह की बात करते हैं, तो उसमें डेटा का जो साइज होता है वो फिक्स नहीं होता है, कभी कम होता है ज्यादा होता है। तो मेरे हिसाब से ना स्केलेबिलिटी, हम अगर पता करना है एप्लीकेशन की, तो हम ये पता कर सकते हैं कि हम कितने यूजर्स पर्टिकुलर टाइप पे हैंडल कर सकते हैं। तो जैसे आपने बोला सिक्योरिटी के लिए, तो आई थिंक इंटरनेट पे जितने भी एप्लीकेशंस है, एक भी 100% तो एक भी सिक्योर नहीं है आज के डेट में। कहीं ना कहीं किसमें कोई ना कोई लूपहोल तो होता ही है। बस हमें वो ट्राई करना है कि हम ऐसा कोड लिखे कि हम जो एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हैं कि उसमें कोई लूपहोल ना हो।
So one more last small question. अभी हम जो प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाते हैं, the teachers tell us to create a system architecture. So now I have like the moment we started this system architecture thing, we directly go to GPT, we tell them that this is my project and generate me a system architecture. He gives that this is the backend, this is the frontend, this is the database, this is the deployment, and we just copy paste it into the website PPT. So now I know the tech stack, but for this particular software, this is the best tech stack, or this is the best database. So how in the companies, how the system architecture is designed professionally?
Very nice question. So even on your earlier question about system design, this answer will be very relatable. The idea of a perfect design or a scalable design or a perfect system architecture depends upon what stage of project the project is in. If the project is in 100 users, nobody is going to deploy the Kubernetes monolithic application करने वाला है आपका. But if the project is about 1 million users, then yeah, my each services should be a distributed architecture system. So the idea of a perfect system design software should be related to what are your KPIs. Like you need to identify how many users are going to be there, how many active users are going to use my project. And depending upon that criteria, that system design, the perfect system design which you are asking, is it a good system design? Then that gets validated. So first your KPI measures, depending upon that, the system design is then validated. Because see, here is the case. If you build for 10 users, that will work on one server. But if you build a booking management system for 1 million users, you will need to have roles for caching, you will need to have different servers for payment, all those different stuff coming. Right? So first you need to identify, okay, I'll take your example for a project that is there in your that your teachers ask you to make. Before making that system design also, you should add one more slide if this system design is valid for these KPIs. Then that makes a lot more sense.
Uh, so I'll be quick. So you are saying ki, how should we decide the architecture, right? Before that, you should know how architecture is designed. So you should definitely learn about low level and high level design. So SQL, no SQL, when to use an SQL and no SQL databases. What is basically a load balancer, Nginx, Apache. Okay, so how proxying works, right? How you said how security works, right? So there are SSL certificates, TLS handshake happens, and we generate those certificates and stuff. Then this is a high level design actually. There are CDNs, load balancers, and a lot of stuff. You should definitely learn this, but don't go in depth. You won't need it right now because you are not going to. It's good if you build, but you are currently not going to build a application for a million users. And for a LLD perspective, you should definitely learn solid design principles. You should know different types of patterns while writing your code, like factory, abstract factory, and different coding patterns and paradigms which you should follow. So once you learn this stuff now, you will automatically know कि भाई क्या यूज करना है, कहाँ पे कब यूज करना है.
Thank you, sir.
तो जैसे इन दोनों ने कहा कि तो हमें एप्लीकेशंस बना रहे हैं तो उससे पहले ये पता होना चाहिए कि ये एप्लीकेशन हम बना किसके लिए रहे हैं, कितने यूजर्स आएंगे हमारे पास. जैसे अभी ये रूम है तो यहाँ ये रूम में आपको एटलीस्ट थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया होगा कि कितने लोग आ सकते हैं. उस हिसाब से हम अरेंजमेंट करते हैं. अगर लोग ज्यादा आते हैं तो हम ट्राई करते हैं इससे बड़ा हॉल हो, ऐसा होता है ना, राइट. तो इन्होंने जो पॉइंट बोला वही कि जो भी हम एप्लीकेशन करते हैं उससे पहले केपीआई रिपोर्ट्स बनाते हैं. इंडस्ट्री में तो ऐसे होता है कि उन्हें पहले से ही आइडिया होता है कि हम इसको कितना स्केलेबल बनाना है, उस हिसाब से ही प्लानिंग होती है एप्लीकेशन.
Thank you, students. Now I would like to call upon Priyanka Mori ma'am, TPO Konwa campus, to give vote of thanks and like the students.
It's really a surprise for me. अभी प्रणव ने बताया. Okay. So thank you all of you. First, good morning to all. And as a teacher, it's always my pleasure to see my alumni students. They used to visit campus. They used to share their industry experiences, their journey, their insights. So it is really, really. I really feel happy. And as you know, as a TPO, I rather request them that through your reference, if for my the student, if you can give some opportunities, I'll be immensely pleasured. I'll get. Okay, so thank you, and a special big thank you to I2IOC team for coordination, your dedication, and your timeless efforts for coordinating the session as well. And this dedication shows, it reflects that you are really creating a good learning platform for juniors and all batches. Thank you.
As we have came to the end of today's Saturday session, let us take a moment to thank the star of our day, our esteemed guests, for sharing their invaluable wisdom and experience with us. With that, thank you to every one of you for being such a wonderful and attentive audience. Thank you.
Because इतने hesitant दिख रहे हैं ये लोग. We can start the mock interviews.